Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 74 of Podcast Period, the internet's stupidest podcast. My name is Ben, and with me today, as always, is my co-host David.
What's up, guys?
So we are back from, I guess, technically a break since we released the episode early. Although it was only early by like 3 days, so whatever, I don't know. Either way, it's the new year now. We haven't recorded an episode since last year, so I don't know. I honestly don't know whether to call that a break or not, but either way, we're back. We're better than ever. Not really. It's the same show, but better than ever.
Ay.
Woo! Anyway, yeah, so we've got some interesting articles that we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the first couple of episodes of the Book of Boba Fett, the first non-Marvel related thing that we talked about since
God knows when.
the beginning of last year, I think, whenever The Mandalorian came out. Hopefully we'll get more Star Wars this year than we did last year, because good lord. I mean, I like Marvel, but I want more Star Wars too. Anyway.
Diversify that content.
Yeah. So yeah, we're gonna talk about that. We've got some trailers, and yeah, it's all gonna be good stuff. So first things first. Sony has confirmed their new PSVR 2, which is, if you can't guess, the second generation of the PlayStation VR.
I almost forgot the first one existed, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's be real. I'm sure that the first generation PSVR was nothing to write home about because it was running on the PS4. Now the PS5, on the other hand, I'm sure that can push some impressive looking VR visuals. So the specs that they've released, it seems like it's pretty comparable to it's the Oculus Quest 2, but I guess they've renamed it Meta Quest 2 since Facebook has decided to rename themselves. Anyway,
I'm sorry, Oculus sounds so much better. Like, come on, that is 10 times better of a name than Meta.
It's so stupid, so dumb. Anyway, so it's pretty comparable to the Quest 2. The pixel resolution is 2000 by 2040 per eye, or roughly 15.7% more than the Quest 2's per eye count. It's got a field of view of 110 degrees and an inside-out array of cameras that will track a user's space without requiring an external device, like the original PSVR's webcam. They also released the first game that they're going to release on it, Horizon VR Call of the Mountain, which is an offshoot of Horizon... What is it? It's Horizon something or other. I don't know. They released a PC port of it a while back, and it was pretty good.
You're not thinking of Horizon Zero Dawn, are you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's exactly what it is. So it's still going to be have a hardwired connection needed to the PlayStation 5 consoles, but different from the Quest 2. It's also going to have haptic feedback in the controllers, and it's also going to have internal eye tracking, which means that maybe you won't necessarily have to move your head in order to see things, which, I mean, everybody knows that if you move your eyes around, you can get a little bit of a different view from whatever you're looking at. It's also confirmed that they're going to use an HDR-rated OLED panel Um, and these panels are rated to refresh as quickly as 120 hertz inside of the PSVR 2. We don't know exactly what the official uh, refresh rate is going to be on it yet, but I'm sure once it gets closer to release, we'll find that out. They've also got some Oculus Quest 2 looking controllers. So it's 2 hand controllers, both with analog sticks and buttons, and I'm assuming some form of hand tracking. Hard to say right now, just looking at it. But again, it's something that we'll just have to wait closer to release for to see what more of what it's going to look like. Um, and yeah, that's it. I just thought it would be interesting to see what else is out there as far as VR goes. I'm honestly kind of surprised that Microsoft hasn't answered this yet. I'm not surprised that they didn't do it with the PSVR 1 because that was kind of a gimmick. But VR has taken off so much in between then and now, and the PS5 is definitely going to be powerful enough to push at least pretty decent looking visuals, if not something that's comparable to you could find on a at least a decent PC, you know? I am wondering if that's something that they're going to do now.
I don't know. I haven't heard anything from them as far as that goes. I don't know if they're maybe in the camp, well, you could just get a PC. That kind of defeats the point of having a console out there. I mean, yes, it's basically the same thing at this point, especially with this latest generation of devices. I mean, it's running basically current desktop CPUs and GPUs. So, I mean, that argument's kind of valid, but also stupid because, it's a console. I kind of want to do this for my console. Maybe it's something they'll consider doing a mid-cycle refresh for. Maybe they just didn't think about it, or I don't know. It's hard to say. Or they're just not ready to jump into that ship. I mean, yes, it is taken off more than it has. It's been a slow journey, but it is finally picking up momentum. A lot of it is because, right now gaming sucks. Mostly because the hardware that you have wasn't necessarily fully capable of doing VR, at least at high enough refresh rates to not have some kind of motion sickness about. And the stuff that is out there now that is capable enough of doing that just fine, it's non-existent. You can't get your hands on it. It's like, well, no, you're darned if you do, you're darned if you don't. We'll see. This is another reason to want, especially coming from a PC perspective, I think this is another reason to want and root for the PS5 at this point, because it is something that they have that Microsoft doesn't have an answer to, but also because, again, it's the different platform. We're going to get more content going that direction if we were to do something. So I think this fully supports both of our positions. If we were to get a next gen console, it would be the PlayStation.
Yeah.
More content, 100%. Diverse content, now VR capable stuff if we wanted to do it that way.
And the only reason that we're even able to say that is because Microsoft has been so heavy-handed on their PC support as of late. It's so nice to be able to pay what basically comes down to a pittance to play first-party games day and date on your PC. Don't have to go out and buy a $500 console because I've already spent way too much money on this thing.
You and I both.
Yeah. So,
although to be fair, it is definitely held its value now that everything is ridiculously escalated, and we have how many years at this point of service into these things? It's amazing.
It's probably going on 3, 4, 5 years. I don't know.
Something like that. It's been a while. You more so than me, because I had some mid-cycle updates in there, but you've been holding on pretty strong.
Well, the only thing I've changed is is the CPU, which arguably I needed to do anyway because I would have been stuck on a 6600K had I not. But
I'm glad you did when you did.
Yeah, no kidding.
Just like I'm glad I did what I did when I did it, because had I waited any longer, I wouldn't have been able to, and I would be stuck on a 6600K. Stupid.
Yeah, no kidding. That would suck.
Ugh, I couldn't imagine. I can't imagine. I can't imagine because I've got basically the slower version of that. The 6500 it's showing its age, Ben. It's a little painful to sit at that computer. Even though it does nothing. Like, even Windows updates are hammering that thing now because they're using more than one core, unlike they used to. Now they're actually using more than one core, and it's 75, 80, 90% just running Windows Update. I'm like, really?
This is ridiculous. I'm looking at how much my GPU is going for.
What is it, $500-$600?
It's not quite that much, but I'm pretty sure it's about as much as I paid for it.
Oh yeah,
it's going for like $450.
Ridiculous, stupid.
Yep.
I heard the 1060s were staying at like $200 to $300 used on eBay. Like, I think I paid $279 for my 1060 when it first came out. And I basically gave it away to our friend, thinking, oh, well, it's not going to have any value, so what's the point? At least he can use it for something. If I'd held on to that thing, I could have flipped it for the same amount of money that I paid for my current one. It's ridiculous. Stupid.
It's so funny.
Speaking of stupidity, as far as hardware goes, danger. There's another component that can potentially cause fire. And it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when this will fail. Because it is a guaranteed failure if you happen to have this piece of equipment. Asus is recalling affected Z690 motherboard. So this is for the new Intel 12th gen Alder Lake CPUs, and it's specifically the ROG Maximus Z690 Hero motherboard. And the issue, I haven't seen anything specific on how it happened beyond a multitude of failures, because there's so many things in place that are supposed to prevent this type of stuff from happening that didn't. There is a specific capacitor that is up at the top of the motherboard that was accidentally installed backwards on a select few motherboards. They have a serial number range of everything. If you happen to have one of those motherboards, you definitely need to check this. Either send it in if it's under that affected SKU range of serial numbers, or have a visual look at it. There's a couple of YouTubers that have posted videos about this. Jace 2 Cents, I know, is one of them, and a couple of others. And gosh, what's his name?
The article says it's actually hardware overclocking. That was the original YouTuber that saw it.
Gotcha. I don't think that was him, but whatever the case may be, check it, look at it, make sure that you don't have this issue. Buildzoid, that's who it was. It is this person. I just didn't realize that was his actual channel name. He discovered through all the reports, every single one of them that had a failure, he noticed that capacitor was backwards. There's a little stripe on the capacitor that actually made it kind of easy to see. Every single one of them that failed, that capacitor is backwards, and it will fail. It's just a matter of when, not if, but when it will fail. Mm-hmm. So you want to get that checked out. It could be as simple as it just blows up and nothing happens, and it could be as detrimental as a fire, which is not a good thing to have in your computer, in your house. So get that checked out, guys, if you happen to be one of the few people that have Intel 12th gen so far.
So before we keep going, I'm going to add on to what we were talking about with my card. I looked up how much I paid for it. Brand new, mind you. Brand new in the box, still wrapped everything. $430. And not that I would try to sell this thing at this point, but it seems like I could get it's like the same version of my card, an EVGA FTW. I don't know if it's a 2 or a 1. A 1080 for like $100 more, maybe.
Ridiculous.
Not bad.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's insane. I bought this in what does it say? 2016, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right.
So it's been 6 years. Well,
5
probably
years.
Closer to 5 years because it was like the end of the year.
Yeah.
And it's basically the same, if not more, than what I paid for my GPU. What I can sell it for right now. I would be losing $0 selling it right now. That's ridiculous for a 5-year-old piece of hardware.
If only you had a free GPU fall into your lap.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, that's so stupid. That's sickening. It truly is sickening that it's gotten that bad.
I don't get it.
Thank you, shortages. Whatever would we do without you?
Okay, so let's talk about an interesting case. I want to say that this has been brought up before, but I could be wrong. So, obviously, David didn't notice this right away because we were talking about this before the show started. But maybe there's not a whole lot of people that noticed it because I don't think until I actually heard about this that I ever noticed anything weird about this album cover. Nirvana's Nevermind. The album cover with the baby in the pool. Clearly a naked baby. It has been brought to court on charges of child pornography. Named people or named defendants in the suit are Nirvana the band, Universal Music Group, Warner Records, Courtney Love in her role as executor of frontman Kurt Cobain's estate, band members Chris Novoselic, sorry if I'm butchering that name, I probably am, Dave Grohl, and others. So apparently the thing that could doom this case is the fact that there's a 10-year statute of limitations on this. Section 2255 of what is it? Is it U.S. Civil Code? It looks like it's U.S. Civil Code. It allows for claims that are not later than 10 years after the date on which the victim reaches 18 years of age. But that date passed for Eldon in February of 2019. Section 1595 similarly prohibits complaints later than 10 years after the cause of action arose, or 10 years after the victim reaches 18 years of age if the victim was a minor at the time of the alleged offense. So, I don't know. This is a pretty interesting case because, it wasn't necessarily meant to be child pornography, right?
No.
But it could be construed as that.
It could.
And if you're sick enough, I'm sure somebody has,
Yeah.
Not gonna go any deeper than that. But like, at the same time, if it wasn't, I feel like this is just this kid or this guy trying to get money because he's in his, I guess he would have to be in his 30s at this point if
it's
he
more than
turned
10 years, yeah.
28 in what, September of 2019 or whatever it said. Where was it? February of 2019. Sorry.
February 2019, so he's almost 31.
Yeah. So, I don't know. It kind of seems scrupulous at this point. It doesn't, or frivolous. Frivolous is the word that I'm looking for. It seems like an attempt to get some money out of some high profile people or companies or whatever, because clearly up until this point he didn't really have an issue with it if he didn't bring it up before this, right? Because I mean, I feel like if you really had an issue with it, maybe not like when you right when you turn 18, but somewhere in your 20s or something like that, you would think, I don't really like the fact that my baby ding dong is on this famous band's album cover. Maybe I should bring it up to somebody. Like, I don't know. That's just me.
I get what it can be misconstrued as. I think we've had this conversation before. It's not the same thing, but it's along the same principles that we established then when we were talking about Apple potentially going through and flagging such content and the innocence. And this is basically the same lines of innocence that I was describing when I talked about specifically someone like you who has now 2 young male infants that could very easily be photographed innocently by their parents naked in the bathtub. Or in one of their cases, this silly little kid decides to go streaking across stupid.
Yeah.
And he could do that at any given time. He could accidentally, he shouldn't because he's asleep or should be and he's in bed, but accidentally do that during a recording session or like a live stream or something. Like, okay, yes, there is that argument, but that is clearly not what the intention was. The intention was not malice. And okay, let's give those sick-minded people something to enjoy themselves with. That's not what was happening, and I think this falls along the same line. It was innocent enough. Okay, it probably wouldn't fly in today's standards.
Yeah.
Might I be upset if it was personally identifiable as an older version of me? This isn't an infant baby.
Yeah.
It's like not relevant today.
Realistically, right? Nobody would know that was him if he didn't tell anybody.
Yep.
Because I'm sure everybody in Nirvana didn't necessarily know who this kid was. They just hired a photographer or some artist to create an album cover for them, and that's what they got.
And some parent decided, yeah, I will elect to have said photography session taken. Like, kids do modeling all the time. It's not typically that type of modeling, but it wasn't.
Right, yeah.
It wasn't meant for what you could misconstrue it for either. It was an innocent art piece. Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's more risque art pieces out there than that.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, I think it's stupid. I think it's stupid. Yeah. Just shut up. Don't get your panties in a twist about it.
Yeah.
Like, come
Okay.
on.
This is
if you really were upset about it, you would have said something a long time ago.
Yeah. It's ridiculous. Oh, and see in the last section of this article here, Eldon's claims would fall on the merits even if they are not time barred, Nirvana and other defendants wrote. Eldon has spent 3 decades profiting from his celebrity as the self-anointed Nirvana baby. So again, I was right. Nobody would have known that it was him if he didn't tell them. He has reenacted the photograph in exchange for a fee many times. He has had the album title Nevermind tattooed across his chest. He has appeared on a talk show wearing a self-parodying nude-colored onesie. He has autographed copies of the album cover on sale on eBay, and he has used the connection to try and pick up women. Eldon's claim that the photograph on the Nevermind album is, quote, child pornography, unquote, is on its face not serious, the motion continued. A brief examination of the photograph, or Eldon's own conduct, not to mention the photograph's presence in the homes of millions of Americans who, on Eldon's theory, are guilty of felony possession of child pornography, makes that clear.
Get over it. I'd forgotten that he rode that train of fame for so long. I had forgotten about that part too. Like, he's owned this. He's enjoyed this.
Yeah, of course. Like, come on. Really? I bet
if he didn't like it,
because...
he wouldn't have gotten the name tattooed across his chest. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Or reenacted it. Like,
come on. Really?
That's on you, my friend. I'm sorry.
That it seems like what's happening, right, is it's not as cool or attention grabbing as it once was. So he's doing something to put his name back into the public eye.
That could be
because now being the Nirvana baby isn't as big of a deal as it was even like 10 years ago. And I mean, it would have been a real big deal like 20 years ago, although I guess he would have been like 10 at that point. So, whatever. But I don't know. It's dumb. This whole thing is just dumb.
Very dumb. Very dumb.
Okay, let's move on.
That's one dumpster fire that I will never be a part of.
No kidding.
Alrighty, so on to some good news, potentially. We'll see.
Maybe.
It's hard to say. As part of the now long forgotten trade show called CES, and I say that kiddingly because it is the biggest trade show in, is it Vegas or Los Angeles? One of those two cities. I forget which.
I think it's Vegas. But keep going.
Whatever the case may be. Of course, for I don't know how many years in a row now, I guess it'd be the second year because they did have CES when COVID first started because, we didn't know. A lot of press conferences have been held and everybody's kind of doing their own independent thing now that CES basically got pulled out from under them at the last possible minute. Like, how do you plan something this big just to have Omicron come in like 2 weeks before it's supposed to happen and just derail everything? Yeah. I kind of feel sorry for a lot of these companies, to be completely honest, because this crap's just, it's old at this point. AMD has launched, or at least debuted, a new, I guess you can call it new, Ryzen 5000 series. So this is still Zen 3 current generation, but with the new 3D stacked caching. And then they also kind of teased a little bit of Zen 4 with Ryzen 7000 series processors. I kind of like the fact, even though it kind of screws with the numbering, I'm liking the fact that they did the mobile series and then the desktop series as 2 different SKUs because it kind of makes it less convoluted than Intel's approach, which is to add like 5 digits to everything and then 2 letters and then some other suffix to go along with it, it ends up being a mouthful. They kind of did the same thing. It's the Ryzen 5800X 3D. So that's also a mouthful. It is a little bit. It is the last physical CPU that will fit on AM4 sockets that have been around since 2016. And there's just a little bit of life left in it. Just a little bit. It's still 8 cores, 16 threads, but now it's got the stacked 3D L3 cache. And it's supposed to include, I think it's like 90 something megabytes of cache or something. It's a crazy amount. 96 megabytes compared to just 32 megabytes in the regular 5800X. So we're talking about 3 times the amount of cache.
It's like, what is it? 64 megabytes of L2 and then 32 megabytes of L3 or something like that.
It's a crazy amount. It's crazy. It's good.
Yeah.
Ryzen loves most, I'm not going to say all, but most of the performance jump that we got from the 2000 series to the 3000 series was basically chip redesign and the drop to 7 nanometers. But the big jump that we got from the 3000 to the 5000 was basically cache changes. The fact that they got everything down to 1 die on some of the models and then just 2 dies for the rest instead of like 2 and 4. The redesigned cache, everything. It made everything so much faster. They got a whole generational improvement just out of basically new cache. So the fact that they're doing it again does not surprise me. It's a tie over until we get the 7000 series. They don't have a lot leaked on that yet.
I don't think it's going to be 5 nanometer.
Yeah, that's about it. We'll see where it lands. It's claiming to be the fastest gaming CPU once again. So they're claiming that the 5800X 3D is going to top the 12900K as the fastest gaming CPU. We'll see how that holds.
Yep.
And Intel's answer to that, even though it's not a main topic, they are now going to launch a 12900K S. So the S variants are back. They are supposed to be 5.5 gigahertz single core CPUs, all core over 5 gigahertz.
Good lord.
So they are turboing those things up to infinity. If,
in other words,
you don't have a fridge for a cooler,
yeah.
you might need to get one because your PC is going to turn into a literal portable heater at that point. Just take it whatever room you need. You need more heat, take your PC and plug it in there. Let it go.
That's right. run a couple runs of Cinebench or Furmark or something. Mm-hmm. I guess not Furmark because that's your GPU, but Cinebench. Just have that running on loop for like an hour. You'll be good.
Get it nice and toasty.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. It's amazing. So we'll see. Will I get it? No. No. I could.
Nope. Nobody's
but I'm not going to.
Well, nobody's
probably. That's true. That's true. Even if I wanted to, it's probably going to be something else that's just impossible to obtain because of all the chip shortages.
Mm-hmm.
They want to show something off. They want a response to 12 Gen Intel. This is something that they've been working on. They announced it well before 12th Gen last year. So is it a response? Maybe. Gives them something.
Yeah. I mean, whether or not there's chip shortages, they're going to keep designing new chips. So
yeah, well, and this stuff is honestly well into the works well before everything went down to the handbasket anyway. So
yeah.
What are you going to do? Just give up? You do that and you become Intel. And then we're stuck on the same crap for 10 years straight. And it gets very annoying. At least this is something new.
Yeah, no kidding.
Whether you can get it or not is another story.
Wow.
It sucks.
Okay. So, Microsoft has apparently broken broken all of their well, I guess it's the Microsoft Exchange server. It's so stupid. I can't. It's so dumb. So apparently, Microsoft did not plan for the year 2022, or somebody at Microsoft who is probably no longer with Microsoft did not plan for the year 2022. Whenever they programmed this date sign thing. So
they pulled the Betty White. They looked at 2022 and said, "No, thank you. I'm not participating."
Yeah, no kidding.
Bless her soul. Bless her soul. I know it's a little too soon, guys, but that woman was gold. That woman was gold.
So
Microsoft is not.
No. Their mail programs store dates and times as signed integers, which max out at I'm just gonna read the numbers. 2147483647, which is somewhere in the trillions, I think. 2,147,483,647, or 2 to the 31st minus 1. Microsoft uses the first two numbers of an update version to denote the year it was released, which, guess what? If you didn't hear me, the first two numbers of that signed integer were 21. As long as the year was 2021 or earlier, everything worked fine. When Microsoft released version 22.01.01.000.00001 on New Year's Eve, however, on-premises servers crashed because they were unable to interpret the date. Consequently, messages got stuck in transport queues. Admins around the world were left frantically trying to troubleshoot instead of ringing in the new year with friends and family. All they had to go on were two cryptic log messages that look like this. So it's a bunch of numbers and random crap. But the main error description is the FIP-FS Microsoft scan engine failed to load PID 23092 error code, some hexadecimal code, I don't know. Error description can't convert 2201010001 too long.
It's too long. We can't do it.
So.
Ouch.
The next day, Microsoft released a fix. It comes in two forms: an automated PowerShell script or a manual solution in the event the script didn't work properly, as reported by some admins. In either case, the fixes must be performed on every on-premises Exchange 2016 and Exchange 2019 server inside of an affected organization. The automated script can run on multiple servers in parallel. The software maker said the automated script might take some time to run and urged admins. I just can't. How are you that inept? How do you do that? Oh my gosh.
Brought to you by the same company that gave you Windows 11 and 10.
That's right.
And 8. And to some extent 7, even though 7 was far superior than Vista, which was I guess what I'm trying to say is this has just kind of been the next step in a long road of potholes.
Yeah, no kidding. Potholes is a nice way to put it.
I'm just waiting for it to go over the cliff. I guess this is pretty close. I'm just glad. The only good thing is, while yes, this is bad, they did it to themselves and not me.
That's right. Oh boy. All right.
Let's move
to our last article there.
Oh, here we go. Speaking of something else that sucks, I'm just gonna go straight to the case on this one. If you haven't got your shot, you probably wasn't going to. And the vaccine mandate that the Biden administration decided to push onto OSHA is now headed towards the Supreme Court because, yeah, that may have been a step too far. On Friday, the Supreme Court heard arguments in 2 cases that could severely limit the federal government's ability to set public health policy during the pandemic. I know there's people out there that don't want to get it. Fine. Okay. You're kind of screwing it up for everybody else, but I'm not going to say you're an idiot. I'll just infer
I'm gonna
that
say
you're an
idiot.
Ben can take the heat.
Don't worry about it.
However, this kind of goes along with mandated drug testing, which is another OSHA thing. Should we be forced to do it? Well, that's technically illegal, even though people say it shouldn't be. I'm not going to argue for or against that, but it is illegal. So, screening for something that is illegal shouldn't be a problem because you legally shouldn't be doing it. This, on the other hand, does seem to be a step too far.
Say the drug testing thing on that, if it's legal or it's soon to be legal, like the whole weed thing or whatever, obviously they might test for it, but I don't think employers should consider that as like a grounds for firing, because like realistically, I mean, yes, things can happen when you're on weed, but most of the time people are doing it on their own time, not like before they come to work or whatever. So what difference does it make? You know? Vaccine mandates, on the other hand, I don't know. That's harder to say, right? Because I
hate taking away the ability of somebody to have a choice.
Yeah. I think that everybody should get the vaccine. Whether or not they do is a different story.
Exactly.
I also don't necessarily think that you should be fired for not having your vaccine. Now, if it's something that your company mandates, then the fact that you're not getting it and you're losing your job is kind of on you. But that's the difference between a private corporation trying to protect themselves and their employees versus the government issuing an overall blanket statement saying that everybody needs to get the vaccine. It is your choice not to get the vaccine, obviously. However stupid of a choice that might be. But I also don't think that it should be a mandated thing by the government. Companies are a different story, but the government, I think they just need to stick to saying that you should get the vaccine and making people pay for COVID tests. Because I think the fact that you have to pay for a COVID test now is probably a pretty good reason to just go ahead and get the vaccine, because that's free. And if you're vaccinated against COVID, there's not really a huge chance that you're going to get it again, and if you do, you're not going to go to the hospital more than likely. So win-win.
It sucks. It all sucks. This whole situation sucks.
Yeah, unfortunately.
With that being said, I agree with Ben. I don't think it should be forced upon anybody. Okay, I'll say it. You're stupid if you don't. Whatever. We've had that anti-vax discussion on the podcast before too. Just do it. But at your own choice, not because somebody said, "Oh, I'm going to make it a mandate." That's that. That's all we're saying. We'll see where it goes. I will say this. My prediction is this gets overturned.
Yeah, I'm sure that it will. Yeah.
Especially considering how the court is. Not that it should be a political issue, and if they're doing their jobs correctly, should never be a political issue. It should be, is it constitutional or is it not constitutional? And that should be the end of it. But given that it's going to probably be political, and given where the court is stacked right now, it's like 6-3, I think it's getting overturned. Just my opinion.
All right, shall we move into our discussion topics?
Please.
Which one should we do first?
Let's just reign with the stupidity as it is and go with
Yeah, we'll get the food one out of the way. Oh my gosh.
So, I will try to remember to include this in the actual edit when it goes out. But if I forget, I'm just going to show a very crude image of what started this discussion between me and Ben earlier today. It was in the news a long time ago and I forgot. It's kind of hard to see, but that bottle of syrup, and there's a pancake box that goes with it, now says Pearl Milling Company. Who the heck is that, you ask? It's Aunt Jemima. And it even says Aunt Jemima on the box still. I'm sure that's temporary.
Where does it say it on the box?
You didn't see that
Hold
part?
On. No, I didn't.
Oh, goodness gracious. It is... It's really hard to read because it's mirrored. But
no, I see it.
It's there.
Oh my gosh,
trust me, guys. I'll try to include a non-mirrored image for you guys if I don't forget. It specifically says new name, I think. What's it say? It says new name, same formula,
name,
same
taste.
Great taste. New name, same great taste. Aunt Jemima. I don't know who, what, when, or where the decision was made to appease what demographic group. I'm going to hazard to say it'd be African Americans based on the fact that Aunt Jemima was indeed a African American depicted on a bottle of syrup and pancake boxes for years. I don't understand. Why is it an issue that a woman of color is depicted on a pancake box? And they're also wanting to do the same thing for Uncle Ben's rice. Don't know what that's gotten changed to.
Nothing, yeah.
Are they going to go after Quaker Oats? Because that also has a picture of, at this point, a white man on it? Are they going to go... Is it because of what it's depicting? Is it because of names? Because there's tons of things that have names that don't have photos to accompany it. Sarah Lee, Mrs. Smith's, blah, blah, you name it, Dr. Pepper. Like, what's the issue? I don't understand. What are we pandering to at this point?
I don't know. I honestly don't think, and obviously people can correct us if we're wrong.
Please do.
But I genuinely did not see an outcry. Like even when this was like first being announced as a thing, I didn't see any outcry against Aunt Jemima pancake mix as being like a racist thing. It's just a box of pancake mix with a black lady on the cover or on the front. Like what? I don't get it. I don't understand why that.
If anything, you think it'd be more of a problem because we're now eliminating this person.
Yeah, for real.
Why are we eliminating this person? Because she happens to be an African American? What's the issue? Was it the name? Was it the photo? Is it both? Is it a combination? Why is it an issue? Is it appropriation of some type? I don't understand how it could be appropriation of anything. I don't think pancakes are inherently a food that was predominantly enjoyed by the African American community. Neither do I think maple syrup is either. In fact, I'm pretty dang sure that came from the Canadians. Not 100% positive, but I feel pretty confident in that. So, what
I
was the
see.
issue?
I don't know. I feel like if it was some sort of food that was typically, and might I add, racistly attributed as like a typical African American food, like I don't know, watermelon or fried chicken or like grape Kool-Aid or whatever. If it was Aunt Jemima's watermelon, yeah, I could see that.
Okay,
Aunt
maybe.
Jemima's fried chicken, uh, I don't know. Yeah,
Maybe.
probably. But Aunt Jemima's pancake mix, Aunt Jemima's freaking maple syrup. Come on, like for real? Honestly, legitimately, for real?
I'd be more offended that it got taken off the box myself, but and that's
I
not
don't
what
get it.
I'm getting at for those of you who are curious as to why it got brought up. The reason why it got brought up is because I just happened to look down at the box. I'm like, what pancake brand is this? I've never heard of this. And I just happened to see it's Aunt Jemima at the bottom. I'm like, wait, we had to go through and rename something? Like, I'm baffled. And then I started looking into it, and then I forgotten I'd heard about this so long ago. And Uncle Ben's rice. I'm sorry, I didn't realize rice was also a food that was inherently consumed by one particular demographic. If any demographic might be a little bit more attuned to rice, it might be the Asian demographic. And last I checked, Uncle Ben is not an Asian man.
Yeah, for real.
Don't understand why. It's so stupid. It's stupid to do it. Anywho, now that pleasantry is over with, I'll go enjoy my pancakes now.
I don't get it. I don't get it. All right. Anyway, let's move on to something a little bit more pleasant. The Book of Boba Fett. Let's talk about the first two episodes. Before, we'll just get into it when we get into it. Episode number 1, chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land. Boba Fett barely escapes from the Sarlacc that swallowed him and is left for dead by Jawas who steal his Mandalorian armor. He is captured by Tusken Raiders and fails to escape their camp. Sometime later, Fett and Fennec Shand have taken control of the Hutt's criminal empire on Tatooine, including Jabba's palace. They receive tribute from local business owners and gain the services of two Gamorrean guards. Fett and Shand visit the Sanctuary, a cantina in Mos Espa, run by Garsa Fwip, who also offers a tribute. Outside the cantina, the group is ambushed by assassins who they fight off. Shand captures one of the assailants after pursuing them across the rooftop. The guards take an injured Fett to the palace and place him in a Bacta tank for healing. Fett has a flashback to his time with the Tuskens. He and a Rodian captive were forced to dig for water in the desert until they were attacked by a large sand creature that killed the Rodian. Fett killed the creature, saving a Tusken child who took the creature's head back to camp as a trophy. The tribe's chieftain then offered water to Fett. So this first episode, I think, was actually a pretty good setup for everything. I so far haven't found the switching back and forth between timelines very jarring. Just because, I don't know, it's pretty easy to distinguish present day Boba Fett because he has his armor, and past Boba Fett because he does not have his armor at that point. And also, he's captured by Tusken Raiders and everything like that. So, I don't know. I enjoyed this first episode, and I'm very interested in the fact that they're kind of like they're getting into more of the lore of the Tusken Raiders through the capture of Boba Fett by this one clan. We kind of figure out in the second episode through like conversations that they have that this is like a less radical tribe, because I mean they didn't end up killing him right away. I'm sure they may have eventually, but he saved a kid, so that kind of helped him out a lot. Uh, but we find out that there's like more like radical tribes that just kill everybody that they come across. So I don't know. Maybe we'll find out more about Tusken Raiders in the future, more than we have through like the first couple of episodes, and well, I guess throughout all the Star Wars, because they show up in episode 4 as well, I believe. But yeah, I don't know. I really enjoyed this first episode. What about you?
I really, really liked it a lot. It was a good introduction. I wasn't jarred by the constant switching back and forth between present day and the events leading up to, I don't know what yet, but I'm assuming it's going to be explained at some point within the series exactly how he has come into power as the crime lord of Tatooine, or at least that particular area of Tatooine. It is just mind-boggling in my head because for some reason I thought, and maybe there is, and I mean, we talked about it, so I kind of cleared it up in my head a little bit. I thought there was more to the story that was confusing me, how everything happened. And then, we kind of talked through it, and it's like, okay, it's not the constant switching back and forth that was jarring. It was the unfamiliarity with the character. This is definitely the most unfamiliar thing that I've seen so far. Out of all the stuff that we've been watching, the MCU stuff is kind of easy, especially at this point, except for the new movies that came out, like Shang-Chi and the Eternals, which I still haven't yet to see. It's familiar, and you know where everything's going, or at least you should be able to, and you know where everything's come from. Oh God, I've forgotten everything about him. Part of it's because I haven't seen episode 6 in a while, but I also didn't put 2 and 2 together with The Mandalorian like I should have. Part of that's because it's been a while since we've watched The Mandalorian.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, who is he? How did he get into this position? Because I thought he was just a bounty hunter, but now he's more than a bounty hunter. It was kind of jarring, but it all makes sense now. I really like this episode. The only thing that I could say that was kind of unfamiliar and unexplained so far is this healing thing that he's doing. But other than that, the what?
The Bacta?
I guess. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, the little tank that he goes in.
Yeah. Is this something that's been introduced before somewhere? Like,
yeah, and what is it? Episode. Yeah. Luke is in one at like the end of episode 5, I think. He's floating in a Bacta tank in one of them.
Okay.
What is it? Oh yeah, that was he was in it after the Wampa attack on Hoth. After he got mauled by this creature thing.
Yeah, gotcha.
Mm-hmm. It's the same concept, except he's, I guess, Boba Fett's laying down in it instead of floating in like tube-like thing.
Gotcha. Okay.
Basically, what it is like healing gel. It somehow speeds up your healing processes in your body.
Okay. All right. Cool then.
Okay, so out of 5 sand creature heads, what do you give this episode?
I was gonna say that or Sarlacc pits. 4. Give it a 4.
4? That's fair. Yeah. I think I'd have to go for 4 too. Yeah, this was a really good episode. I enjoyed it a lot. Okay. So, Chapter 2, The Tribes of Tatooine. Fett and Shan interrogate the captured assassin who claims to have been hired by Mok Shai. the mayor of Mos Espa. Shais denies this, but offers payment to Fett for capturing the assassin and suggests that they visit the sanctuary again. Flip informs Fett that that two of Jabba's cousins, a pair of Hutts known as the Twins, want to claim Jabba's throne for themselves. The twins arrive with the bookie bounty hunter Black Cranston. And tried to intimidate Fett, but he refuses to submit. In the bacta tank, Fett remembers the Tuskens' war, teaching them their style of combat and desert survival skills. After the tribe was attacked by a Pike Syndicate spice train, Fett stole some speeders from a nearby gang and taught the Tuskens how to ride them. He led the tribe on a successful attack to stop the train and warn the surviving Pikes that they would have to pay a toll to enter the Tuskens' territory in the future. To be admitted into the Tusken tribe, Fett was guided by a lizard inside his head to a branch, which he turned into his own gaffy stick. The tribe then held a ceremony to accept him. So this episode is where we get more into the Tusken Raider, like, I guess, how their tribe works.
Yeah.
Because up until this point, we didn't know anything about a weird, like, hallucinogenic trip with a lizard.
Nope.
We didn't know anything about the gaffy sticks other than that, they had them. That was like their main weapon besides their long rifle things. I like that this episode, beyond the fact that he's like kind of gaining notoriety as the new Daimo, I like that it kind of builds his relationship with this Tusken Raider clan. The fact that he's able to like help them get rid of this problem that they've been having for a while, it seems. I don't know. I really like that they could just kind of show the relationship between him and the Tusken Raiders more. It was a nice touch.
I really appreciate this episode establishing, because we heard it in the trailer, we heard it a little bit in chapter 1, Stranger in a Strange Land, the philosophy by which he is ruling as the new Daimo is one of respect and not fear.
Mm-hmm.
It's how he's claiming to handle the situation that he finds himself in the present day. And then through these flashbacks, especially in episode 2, it's become established that this is not just like a persona that he is carrying as Daimo. It is something that he, at least as of now, I believe, truly exemplifies himself to live by. He negotiates with the Pike Syndicate spice train, the survivors of that. Our payment to you is you get to walk away with your lives. However, this is how things are going to work in the future. I mean, they fired upon the Tuskens, so it's kind of understandable that, hey, a head for a head, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. If they die, they die. Right. I mean, they clearly are invading lands that don't belong to them, and are shooting before answering. Shoot first, ask questions later. Mm-hmm. So I like his leadership style, and I like how this episode establishes it, even with this clan, before we get to the Daimo situation. So it's good to see the consistency. I like it. I like the relationships that he's building with these guys. It makes a whole lot of sense. I like this episode more than the first episode, actually. It was a really good episode.
Yeah.
The only thing that threw me for a trip was that dang hallucinogenic whole trip. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah. Yeah, that was...
the flashbacks were a little weird. Like too close together. I'm like, oh, okay, that's that part. That's him being in the Sarlacc's mouth, the stomach, wherever he's at when he goes for whatever he went for to kill the thing. I'm assuming a heart or a vein or an artery of some type. And then some water. I guess we'll see where that comes in at. Maybe later. Maybe that was for some foreshadowing for the series. I don't know.
Hard to say.
It's really hard to say. It's like, okay, what is this? How much of this is real? How much of this is memory? And how much of this is just totally fake, hallucinogenic high?
So out of the 5 Gaffy sticks, what are you gonna give this one?
4.5.
4.5.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. The second one was a really good episode. Like I said, I really like that they're getting into the lore of the Tusken Raiders, because I mean, behind Boba Fett, I think they're the thing, at least as far as like mainstream Star Wars media goes, because I'm sure there's like whole books or whatever if you want to get into the legend stuff, but as far as mainstream Star Wars media goes, this is like the most that we've ever learned about them. Other than that, they're like people that live in the middle of the desert and they don't really like other people. So
scavenge everything that they go for, anything
basically,
they can get their hands on.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, these guys are ruthless.
I like that we're getting more of this. I like that we're getting more of Boba Fett, because he's another character that we got like that we know next to nothing about, pretty much. So yeah. I'm really looking forward to the rest of this series. I hope it continues to be as good as the first 2 episodes are, and doesn't go basically kill itself like What If did when we watched that, cuz yeah. Anyway,
okay, one more thing that we should talk about. The clip that you sent me, considering the Parks and Rec episode about this. Is that not 100% gold?
That was crazy. I have to I gotta look that up real quick. Hold on. I don't know if they were like doing a reference to that, or if that's realistically like the only way that you could show him coming out of the Sarlacc pit. Because like,
as far as we know, he's dead. So like, you kind of have to show it like that.
I don't know. It's crazy that way back. What is this? That came out at the end of 2021, and this must have been the middle of like 2013 or something like that.
Almost 10 years.
They posted the YouTube channel posted the extended cut of his filibuster on April 17th, 2013. So at the beginning of April. So that's what? 2014, 2015, 2016, 2017, 2018, 2019.
Almost
2020,
8 years.
2021. It is 8 years. A little bit over 8 years.
It's crazy.
It's ridiculous. I hope that was a reference to that. I hope. I don't think it is. I think it's probably just the only way that you could have done that scene, but
I want to know that. Like I want confirmation that okay, no, we had no idea.
Right.
Which I do believe, but I don't believe, because as big of a fan as I am of that series, and you as well, I totally forgot about that.
Yeah, me too.
Like, it completely escaped my mind. Now, had I seen it recently or something, and that happened, I would have immediately put 2 and 2 together. There's a lot of things like that it escapes my mind until I catch onto an actor or a director, and then I realize, oh, they directed this. Like, okay, we watched Elf, or at least I watched. No, you did too. When we did our review of Elf, I recognized John right off the bat. I'm like, oh, cool. I really like that he was involved with this too. And then I watched the movie and I was sadly disappointed by the movie, but I digress. I never would have paid attention to his name had I not been really appreciative of what he did with The Mandalorian to kind of right the ship the best it's been done so far as Star Wars under Disney, because the concerns that they might have their way with it and ruin it were somewhat legitimized by the third trilogy. So
right,
we kind of praised him up a little bit for his work with The Mandalorian, giving us something that isn't, at least in our opinions and a lot of other people's opinions, pure trash in retrospect. Because we wasn't that harsh with the trilogy in the beginning, but as it progressed, it became apparent. Okay, this is turning into a hot steaming pile of but dog do, that is.
I am hoping that the Disney Plus series that they're coming out with continue the trend of just being good. I don't need them to be like life altering or mind blowing or anything. I just need them to be good, because that's going to be way better than what we got with the last 3 movies.
You don't need to introduce things that haven't been done before. You don't have to exaggerate things or anything like that. Just give us a good story.
I would be fine if they introduced something that we hadn't seen before, but just make it make sense.
That's fair. Because what happened did not make sense. Some of it made sense. The third movie was a little better, at least as far as the Force Ghost things. It was a little bit better.
Yeah.
At least some of that had been a little bit established before. Maybe not to that extent, but then again, how many Jedi Masters have we actually been able to observe that haven't been preoccupied with taking on the Empire? Like, I'm sure some of the others could have done this had everything not gone south. And then, Order 66 comes along and it's like, yeah, well, okay, maybe somebody else could do the things that Luke did as far as the actual Force projection, not just Force Ghost, but Force projection of himself.
Right.
Oh, well, okay, maybe it's been done before, maybe it hasn't been done before, but at least you could believe it, unlike some of the other things that they did.
Yeah.
So if it makes sense, okay, yeah, I could see that. But you don't have to do it. Just give us a good story.
Okay. Let's move on to the trailers, the final section of our show. If you haven't listened to this part of the show before, basically what we're going to do is we're going to watch, I think we've only got 2 movie trailers, so this might only be applicable for a couple this time, but basically we're going to watch the trailer, and then we're going to give our impressions on it and say whether we would see it in the theaters, whether we would wait for a rental, wait for a review, or just not see it at all. I think we can still count on one hand the amount of times that we've said that we wouldn't see a movie at all. So if we say that, it's bad. It's an awful trailer, because we're somewhat lenient on the stuff that we let fly on the trailers.
A little bit.
Anyway, first trailer we've got is the second trailer for The Batman.
Bruce Wayne.
Sorry?
I wouldn't be bothering you here, but your people keep telling me you're unavailable. You know, you really could be doing more for this city. Your family has a history of philanthropy, but as far as I can tell, you're not doing anything.
The Riddler is asking for you.
The killer left this for the Batman. Why is he writing to you?
You came. I've been trying to reach you.
Riddler's latest. It's all about the Waynes. If we don't stand up, no one will.
You got a lot of cats.
I have a thing about strays. The bat and the cat. It's got a nice ring.
A new friend of yours?
I'm not so sure. I'm just here to unmask the truth about this cesspool we call a city. You're part of this too.
Hands up! Stay still!
How am I part of this? Oh, you're really not as smart as I thought you were. Bruce Wayne. All these years, you lied to me, Alfred.
We all have our scars, Bruce. You're still away.
He's involved in this?
No, he's not involved.
How do you know? He's a vigilante.
Who are you under there? What are you hiding?
Selena, don't throw your life away.
Don't worry, honey. I got 9 of them.
We have seen the progression of this movie from concept art, which I was not an extreme fan of.
No, he wasn't.
To this. This look so good. So good. I am so excited for this. I think that this could beat out The Dark Knight as my favorite live action Batman movie.
Interesting.
I mean, it all depends on how this goes. Obviously, yeah. I'm basing this on a trailer. But this looks really good.
I was kind of on board because you were on board, and I'm like, okay, yeah. There's some of them that I've really, really enjoyed, and then there's some of it that I've really haven't, as far as Batman goes over the years. And I wasn't 100% sold with the first trailer. They just sold me on this. They really did.
Yeah.
It is such a good trailer. Chef's kiss to everything with the cat in this as well. Like,
oh yeah, yeah.
I really like where this is going. So I'm on board with this movie now.
I like their choice to go with the Riddler as the main villain for this, because
everything's about the Joker. Everything has been about the Joker.
I mean, they didn't do that with the first, with Batman Begins either. They stuck with the Scarecrow as the main. Well, I guess it was Ra's al Ghul too, but Scarecrow was like the big recognizable mass Batman villain, whatever.
Yeah.
And then we had the Joker, and then we had Bane. We've had Riddler once in like one of the 80s or 90s Batman way back when, played by like Jim Carrey, I think. So I'm interested to see Riddler played up not only as the main villain, but as the main villain who has to be taken seriously.
I'm glad to see some variety with it too.
So I think if it's not obvious, I think both of our ratings are probably pretty obvious on this. I would go see it in the theater.
I was solidly doubting all of it. Like, okay, maybe. I don't think I said I was ready to go see this in the theaters. I'd end up doing it if it was us, just because I 100% would go see this in the theater now. I want to see this. Like, it's not, I have to because he's going to make me, or I'll do it because I support him in these things. No, I want to see this, dang it.
It looks so good. I'm so excited. And the other thing, I was trying to figure out Robert Pattinson's Batman voice. I'm glad that he didn't go, at least as far as I can tell, he didn't go for some over-exaggerated, like, deep, growly Batman voice like Christian Bale did. Because that was the one thing that made his Batman, like, memeable, right? He's a good actor. He's an effective Bruce Wayne. He's a good actor as Batman. But the voice is just like, why? Why do you need to do that? And then Ben Affleck was kind of the same thing, although I think they just modulated his voice a little bit in post instead of him doing it, like, full on by himself. This seems like maybe he's changing his voice a little bit, but he's not going like, I'm Batman. You should be scared because I'm Batman. No. I'm glad he's stuck to a more natural sounding voice. At least as far as I can tell.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. So, our final trailer for the evening is for the new HBO Max series Peacemaker. Let's go watch that.
All right, kids, and that's how I defeated one of the world's most dangerous villains with only my 2 fists. My Desert Eagle and 2 rocket launchers. Eat peace, motherfuckers! Any questions?
Have you met Wonder Woman?
She did spend an entire party IFing me from across the room.
Sick.
Dude, I said effing. Hey! All right!
Peacemaker, I was hesitant to bring you onto this team.
Hey!
But right now, the world needs a son of a bitch. And you're the only one I got.
You know, you don't have to call me Peacemaker. You can call me Chris.
Just because you're handsome doesn't mean you're not a piece of shit.
Think I'm handsome?
Oh, my God.
Okay.
This task force doesn't officially exist.
You want to do this job? You can't balk, ever.
Ah, shit! Listen, I can help. I'm stellar with weapons in combat.
You don't have to shoot people after I already killed them.
Right.
That is hilarious. Okay. I know we're probably not going to cover it for the show, but I am definitely watching that when it comes out. Oh my god, that looks so funny. It looks just as good as Suicide Squad did.
Maybe they finally, I don't know, maybe they finally got some good direction going on as far as DC Universe stuff goes. It's hard to say. It's so hilarious though. And the final line in the trailer sums it up 100%. It's totally inappropriate, and I loved every second of it.
Yep, 100%. That's right. Oh man. All right. Well, I think that's where we're gonna leave this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching us or listening to us, whatever the case may be. If you are listening to us, please be sure to leave a rating on whatever podcasting platform you happen to be listening on. If you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, notification bell, all that good stuff. You can always talk to us on Twitter at podcastperiod about anything that you heard in the episode. Yeah, we'll see you guys next episode. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys. Thanks for listening to this episode of Podcast Period. This episode was hosted and produced by Ben, co-hosted and edited by David. You can contact Ben on Twitter at BenPlaysVidges. That's Ben Plays, VIDYAS. And you can contact David on Twitter at Car6by16. If you'd like to chat with us about any of the topics on this episode, you can hit the show up at Podcast Period on Twitter, or shoot us an email at podcastperiodpodcast@gmail.com. That's all for this episode. We'll see you next time.